When adapting a book to the big screen, some movie directors take a lot of liberties. However, the Coen brothers stayed pretty true to the original story in their film adaptation of Cormac McCarthy's book No Country for Old Men. Aside from some altered and omitted scenes and details, the plot of the movie is pretty verbatim with McCarthy's original text. The book obviously gives more details and more insight into the characters, as is the case with most film adaptations due to time constraints. But other than that, the Coen brothers pretty much just tell the story through their film, even leaving some exact dialogue in their script.
Well, I need to see about closing now.
See about closing?
Yes, sir.
What time do you close?
Now? We close now?
No, it's not a time. What time do you close?
Generally around dark. At dark.
The author of the book, Cormac McCarthy, has a very distinct Hemingway-ish type style, very straightforward, truncated, with no frills. He presents details in an almost stream of consciousness type manner, laying them out as one might see them if they were present in the action of the story. Here's an example from when Moss is running for his life. He knew he didn't have time to crawl to the river, and he just rose and made a run for it, splashing across the braided gravel flats and down a long sandbar until he came to the main channel. He got out his keys and his billfold and buttoned them into his shirt pocket. The cold wind blowing off the water smelled of iron. He could taste it. He threw away the flashlight and lowered the hammer on the .45 and shoved it into the crotch of his jeans. Then he shucked off his boots and pulled them inside his belt upside down at either side and tightened the belt as far as he could pull it and turned and dove into the river. Clearly, a lot of McCarthy's details were left out for the sake of time or dramatic effect. In this scene, a dog is even added to heighten the excitement of the chase. But the way McCarthy lays out details makes the scene very easy to visualize and translate to film. The film, like the book, relies heavily on dialogue, but there is also a lot of silence. A lot of times, there is silence when there would normally be music. Because of this, the film is very tense in places, particularly when there is imminent danger. This also means that other sounds in the movie are very clear and often significant. Here, the clear sound and camera focus indicate that Sugar's oxygen tank is an important item. In this clip, we also hear an example of the only music used in the film. It's not really music so much as a music-like tone that resonates through some of the major scenes, such as when Sheriff Bell discovers Moss. The film doesn't actually have music, with one exception. Between the book and the movie is characterization. With details and dialogue from the book being sometimes altered or left out altogether, you understand the characters in a different way. I feel like you don't get to know Sheriff Bell as well in the movie as you do in the book. The monologue at the beginning of the movie is not attributed to a speaker and is confusing at first, but Sheriff Bell has these throughout the book, which in the movie are typically portrayed as him speaking to another person.
He's just a goddamn homicidal lunatic yet, Tom.
I'm not sure he's a lunatic.
Yeah, well, what would you call him?
Yeah, sometimes I think he's pretty much a ghost.
He's real, all right.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, all of that over at the Eagle Hotel? Just beyond everything.
Yeah.
Though we obviously see and get to know his character, the movie doesn't go as deep as the book, and obviously can't present his character quite the same way. Because of this, he actually seems a lot less like a main character to me, and the parallels between him, Moss, and Sugar may not seem quite as obvious to a viewer. Another change made for the sake of characterization is the exchange Moss has with the young woman preceding his death. The movie manages to demonstrate Moss's strong moral quality by demonstrating his commitment to his wife during his conversation with the young woman.
I'm waiting on my wife.
However, the philosophical dialogue of the book is completely omitted in the movie, likely for time constraints and the sake of a brief scene. It could also be because the exchange is supposed to seem somewhat insignificant, making Moss's death in the following scene even more shocking. The scenes involving Moss's death are less detailed than the book, particularly the conversation with the girl and the witness who describes the events afterwards, but the overall circumstance and tone of his death are similar. Moss's actual death is quote-unquote off-screen in the book as well, but his movie death is so abrupt that it is actually disorienting. Looking back, I think the suddenness of Moss's death is actually really nice because it feeds into the theme of fate that is so present in the book. Moss has fought for his life running from Sugar and is randomly killed off screen by someone else, making all his efforts seem so futile. The book's thematic elements are much stronger, but again, that is just the nature of book versus film. Some elements will translate to film while others will not. A great example of that is the idea of fate. Though scenes like the gas station scene translate perfectly and practically verbatim to screen, it is impossible to include some of McCarthy's other thoughts on fate in the film. Maybe they aren't included in the dialogue, but are instead part of the narrative, and maybe they were just cut for time because they weren't crucial to the plot. But naturally, the book is stronger than the movie in terms of themes. Another one of the major differences between the film and the book is the conversation between Sugar and Carla Jean at the end. Like with Moss and the Young Woman, the movie leaves out a lot of the philosophical conversation between the two characters, though it still touches on the tone of fate, as Carla Jean argues that Sugar is the only one who may decide whether or not he's going to kill her, not the coin. Again, the film makes use of visual details and actions in place of narration. Though unlike in the book, it is not explicit that Sugar kills Carla Jean. As he emerges from the house in the movie, we see him check his shoes, presumably checking for blood. I rarely say this, but I think I prefer the movie to the book for No Country for Old Men. Though I love McCarthy's concise writing style, I think the events of the book move almost too quickly.
It's the river, but that's not where I'm going.
The movie, on the other hand, does an excellent job of building suspense by prolonging tense scenes and using silence in a powerful way.
Yeah, I know where you're going. All right.
Maybe I'll help
I would
you.
recommend both this book and the movie to anyone looking for a thrilling and unpredictable adventure.
You know part of that's mine, right?
You still got your damn shirt.
And even what it was for.
Well, maybe, but I'm still out of shirt.